Hello, Bain second graders. This is part 2 of our Greek and Latin root work. As you can see, since our last video, Mrs. Blackman has taken a moment to fill in some other words on our Greek and Latin roots. So we had started last time with sub, pre, and sol, and I had left it up to you to fill in the rest of our graphic organizer. You will probably have different words than the words that I filled in, but I just wanted to show you some possible examples. These are not the only answers that you could have. In our subcategory, I added the word subject, which is to put under someone else's control, to subject. The second one was submerge, to put under water, and to subdue, to bring under control. As you can see, I did put under in each of my definitions all the way down. And going forward, now I know that sub means under when I see it in a word. Likewise, my middle prefix was pre, and we used the top two together, and I added on to our list here. To predict is to tell what will happen before it does. To prepare is to get ready before an event. And a precaution is something that you do in order to be careful or cautious ahead of time or before something. Thirdly, we had sol, which we said meant sun. And we had done the top two together, and then I added 3 more underneath. You can see I've added solstice, which is one of 2 times a year that the sun is farthest from the Earth's equator. So you'll hear people talk about the summer solstice and the winter solstice. Our second word is solarium, and a solarium is, oftentimes people call it a sunroom these days, but it's a room with lots and lots of windows to let the sunlight in. And then insolate, which is to expose to the sun's light. So as you can see, I went ahead and filled in each of our 3 roots, and I also created some sentences down below. I'll share these with you now. The manager needed someone to help him subdue the crowd during the holiday shopping rush. And then over here, who could predict that the weather could be so hot and sunny in January? You could also add 2 more sentences below those, and you could certainly come up again with other words other than the ones that Mrs. Blackman used. That was totally up to you. There were many, many words that would work for each of these. So moving on now to our second page, which you may have printed at home and looks like this. We are given our final root for the week, and this root is probably a familiar one. It is Latin, and it is the root re. And re means again, and can often be found at the beginning of a word as a prefix. Beginning of a word as a prefix. There are lots and lots of words that start with re. We're just going to do a few of them now. The first one is to return. This is a word that we hear often, to return. Okay, so when we return something, we bring it back again. For instance, when you return a library book, you bring it back again. All right, another re word that you might be familiar with is recycle. Recycle. Okay, hopefully you recycle when you are at home as well as at school. You can recycle all kinds of things. Miss Vizzini certainly, as the head of our green team at Bain Elementary School, talks a lot about how we can recycle at school. So when we recycle something, it is with the intention of taking our trash or garbage or something that's already been used and remaking it so that we can use it again. To be used again. For example, A metal soda can can be melted down. The aluminum can be melted down and be used to make other things that we can use. And we're using that metal can again. It might not be a can when we use it again, but it was made from something else. And rather than it going to a landfill or going in the garbage, we can certainly repurpose it. Oh, repurpose, that's another re-word. Let's go ahead and write it down. Repurpose. To use something again in another way. In another way. Okay? I'm going to leave those last two blank for you so that you can come up with your own re-words. There are lots of them. And then we're going to move on to this center section. So this part is called Test Your Knowledge, and it asks you to read 4 multiple choice questions and to circle the answer for each. So what we'll do is I'll let you do that part on your own. I think you know how to select from A, B, C, or D. And when we meet together on our Zoom, we'll talk about the correct answers for each of these 4 questions. So this is after you have had a chance to really learn each of the 4 roots and find out words that mean, that have those meanings, and then we can test ourselves with a little kind of 4-question quiz. The last thing that I'm going to mention to you is this final column of your graphic organizer. And this one I think is the most fun, where you really get to draw a picture in each of these little boxes for your root words. And you can choose to draw anything that will help you to remember what those word roots mean. For example, for re, you could take an actual re-word and try to draw it there as a reminder of what re means. Or you could come up with a symbol or something that you think means again, okay? For example, I'll do pre, since we're all together right now. We'll do pre, which means before. So, for example, how could I draw before? I might draw a clock with hands, so that it suggests that it has to do with time. Okay. And then maybe at the bottom, I'll draw an arrow pointing backwards, which is a signal to me that it happened before. Okay? And you don't have to draw a clock and an arrow. That's just something that made sense to me. You could draw whatever you wanted to draw there. So that's totally up to you. But I encourage you to be creative and have fun with your drawings. And Mrs. Blackman will sort of just quickly run over these when we get together in our next Zoom meeting. And then I will post the next set online for the following week so that you can learn some more roots and continue to build your vocabulary toolbox. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you all are safe and well, and we will talk again soon. Take care.